All right, and welcome back, folks, to another episode of A Distinguished Conversation. I'm your host, as always, Noah, and to the right of me, I have my co-host, as always, Caleb Deal.
How's it going?
Oh, just dandy. It's been a real doozy of a day, hasn't it?
Indeed it has. I honestly haven't done much of anything today until I came here and then we watched this like fever dream of a movie.
Oh yeah,
known as Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
It is it's something. So like I've heard about it. My god sister used to talk about it like it was the second coming of Christ, and so I heard a lot about it from her, and then I merely said the name to my dear friend Dayton, and he, like, his eyes lit up as soon as he heard the words Tucker and Dale.
Of course.
So yeah, it's now holds a very special place in my heart. It's a fan favorite of mine. But before we talk about that, how about we double check and see if we got any feedback?
Oh yeah. It's been like, I think 2 weeks since I was on the last one podcast because we had the Noise Candy episode last week?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, let's see.
So you actually had a show after that episode. How'd that show go for you guys?
It went pretty all right. Everybody was very drunk. Not the band members, but like everyone else.
That's usually how it goes at concerts, though, to be fair.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not at least a little bit wasted at a concert, I think you're probably doing it wrong.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. I actually went to a show in Texas a couple weeks ago, and we met this lady. Her name was Molly, and we were just kind of just enjoying the music, and then she started popping pills, and we're like, oh shoot, was your name Molly, or were we doing Molly? Either way, like
all of the above.
Yeah,
that
pretty
sounds like
much
a great time.
Oh yeah, concert was pretty great. It was a band called Somersault, and they were all right, but the real guest or real like standout of the show was the Rare Occasions.
Yeah. And we talked about them last week.
Yeah. So we never have to talk about them ever again.
No, not at all. If you guys are actually still listening to our podcast, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're not talking about you again, but welcome back.
Yeah, but welcome back. But yeah, no, so they were pretty great. I really, what was it? I really enjoyed this show that we played in a little dive bar, Kirby's Beer House, or beer store. But yeah, we played Lowrider where I brought out the kazoo. And at our next show at Chicken and Pickle on August 12th, we actually have a couple more songs where the kazoo might make a special guest appearance. So
sweet.
It'll be something. I'm trying to think. Oh, we whipped out. It was actually a lot of the set that we did from Monica House with like one or two extras, I think. So,
okay. Go ahead and give a quick rundown of what that set was, just off the top of your head for the viewers at home.
Off the top of my head, Borv's set, we started with, I think, one of hers. And then we played Take It Back by Johnny, I think is the guy's name. I don't know.
Probably.
Either way, it was a breakup song between him and someone else who's very famous. And then we did another one of Cass's originals. And then we played Creep by Radiohead. We did Holy Fuck by Demi Lovato.
Nice.
Except actually we broke that out as an encore because she didn't want to play it in front of her dad, which fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Fly Like an Eagle by Thundercat and someone else. And then
Fly Like an Eagle is not Thundercat actually.
It's by somebody else, but we do the Thundercat version.
Yeah.
And
Fly Like an Eagle. Let me look up what the original one is while you
Them
continue
Changes.
with the set.
We throw that one out there a lot. And then let's see. I think that's where we did the transition, or we did her other original, and then we did the transition straight into the Noise Candy set, where we start with Come and Get Your Love, and then we had She Loves You by the Beatles, Under the Bridge by Chili Peppers, then Tyler's original We Don't Make the Rules, we just take off our clothes, I think, and then Seth of a Brailsman, Santeria by Sublime, Basket Case And then Under the Bridge is on the set list twice for some reason. And then we closed out with Lowrider, and my other original http/: hold up, let me find the exact title. It's here somewhere. Yeah, https://youtube.be/d capital Q W4W9 capital W G capital X CQ.
Good luck typing that in.
Yeah, but if you do type it out and you figure out what it is, let us know.
Indeed.
It's great.
And the band who originally made Fly Like an Eagle is the Steve Miller Band in 1976.
That sounds right. But yeah, so it was a pretty good set. I did a small little acoustic piece during the as kind of like one of the opening acts.
Nice.
I'm considering doing like an acoustic thing on the podcast one of these days. But
hell yeah, might as well. Self-promotion, why not?
Oh yeah. It'll probably be one of the nights where we just don't know what we're doing and we're like, let's have some guest music. Which that's another thing is we met at the Monica House show a guy named Gavin in the piano, and then Call Me Ishmael. They're kind of two names that are local, and they said they said they'd be interested in maybe being on the podcast.
Sweet, that would be awesome to have them on.
Did you hear any of Gavin in the piano set?
I came in right at the beginning of your guys' set, and I left right after yours. So I had some stuff to go take care of, but
yeah, so he was before, but he basically takes SNES games, and he found a way to get like all the sounds out of like the games. So that's
awesome.
And he said it's very hard to do, but it's basically just video game sounds, and then he plays like electric piano over it, and then sings. And it's just very, very fun to listen to. So he said he'd love to play my Hammond organ. So
yeah, that would be incredible. So does he play like video game soundtracks, or do you just play like use the video, like the sound effects from it for original music?
Like the sound effects to make originals.
That's incredible. That's really cool.
I think he does a couple of covers because he said he did like a Beach Boys cover. And he had like a guitar for like one or two songs, but it was very endearing to listen to. So endearing, I think that's But yeah, it's very fun. So I can't wait to have him on the show one of these days. What was I gonna say?
The other band?
Oh yeah, Call Me Ishmael. Well, he's just kind of a one man, him and acoustic, and it was funny. We were joking about the Tom DeLonge voice from Blink-182.
Nice.
Where are you?
Yeah.
And I was told I do a very good impression of him. I was like, oh, stop.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then he popped his head out of the curtain where he said, he was like, hey, stop making fun of my voice. Because he kind of does that. Or like, I can't remember. I think it's when he says die alone. He kind of has like this... like, I don't know how to explain it, but the way he says die alone is very...
a little extra emphasis on it.
Yeah, it's very fun to listen to whenever he's talking about dying alone. So
gotta love it.
So yeah, that was very fun. As for that, I think that's about it. And Profanity. Have you heard of them?
I have. I saw. Weren't they on the Monica House like set list?
Yeah. So they came on like 2 sets after us, 2 or 3. But Profanity, I actually know the drummer. She's really cool. So Aaliyah, if you're listening to this, you're really cool.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, they said they'd probably want, or at least Aaliyah said they'd want to be on the show because why not?
Why not?
So that'd be really fun. All really fun, talented musicians.
Oh yeah,
way cooler than me and my band. So yeah. And then Atlas, we gotta have them on one of these days.
Oh yeah. We should just have like, so once a week we're gonna have like a movie podcast, and then once a month we're gonna have a movie podcast, and once a month we should have like a live music thing.
Yeah.
Because even if we can't find like a local band to come in and play, we can always just do our own thing.
Oh yeah. We'll have you behind a mic doing multiple different parts.
Yes, I'm going to sing 4-part harmony with one voice.
Bum 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 ba da 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 da. I'm gonna jack it where this. My favorite part is the bit where the guy, for the Lord.
Yeah. We're talking about jacking it in San Diego from South Park for those uncultured folks at home.
Yep.
Or in your car, wherever you may be.
I actually just watched that episode, and I love how it's just this stupid line where Kyle's just like, and one day you'll be jacking it in San Diego, and he's like, what the hell does that even mean? It's great.
One day. What all young men dream of.
Oh, yeah.
Jacking it in San Diego.
In San Diego. But I'm jacking it.
Jackety jack. Whacking it, wagging it, waggity whack. Smacking it, smacking it, smackety smack. Smacking it for the Lord.
I love one of my other favorite South Park songs is Let's Fighting Love. When they're playing with the Ninja Stars and they almost kill Butters.
Yeah. Did you see that they had like a whole like, I think it was like a 20th anniversary of South Park?
Yeah,
where they
the
just
Red
went
Rocks,
in
Colorado.
and did all in the Red Rocks, Colorado. They went in and did all the songs.
Yeah.
I wonder if they made like an album of that.
Oh, it is, and it's fantastic to listen to. They tell the story of how they approached Primus for the intro song, and they offered him like it was like $70 or $17. It's like a ridiculous amount in this, or like ridiculously cheap, of course.
Yeah.
But they claim they didn't do it for the money. So yeah, they sent the tape, and it was the bit that you hear at the end of the show where it's and they said, well, that's great, but it's a little bit slow. So what they did was they took the same tape and sped it up and then put the voices over it, and that's how they got the intro. And then every couple years they kind of just updated it, where it was either banjo or the one, I can't remember what it is, but the it's like an actual instrument. I just can't think of what it's called.
It's probably like a steel. No, it's gonna be some sort of string instrument. I just have no idea what it would be.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like you're smacking it with like a rod. And
I think that is a steel guitar. If it's like, or maybe a sitar.
No, because a steel guitar is the one where it's like laid out, but this one is literally like some kind of hillbilly trailer trash kind of instrument where you're holding it with like your left hand and smacking it, but bending it so that it makes different pitches.
I've seen it before. I have no idea what the fuck it's called though.
Yeah, it's very 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 fascinating. But yeah, that's how they updated it. So speaking of trailer trash hillbillies, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. What'd you think? It was an interesting movie. It was. I think it was supposed to be a comedy horror. I think. Okay. Yeah.
Or rom-com maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Sure.
It crosses off all the boxes. You get
It
some
really
action,
does.
You get some adventure.
You get some drama. You get a little bit of comedy. You get a little like. So it's kind of put together in this like. There's other movies like Shaun versus the Dead, or like Hot Fuzz type movies, where it's like it knows what it's making. Like the movie knows it's not gonna be this big dramatic like cinema breaking movie. Yeah, and it like embraces that. So it's a little hokey. I'll give it that. It's charming though, you know. Yeah. So it's got like I guess for the folks at home, spoiler alert for
oh yes, major spoilers for this 12-year-old movie.
What the fuck is his friend's name? It's who and Dale? Tucker and Dale? Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Tucker and Dale versus Evil from what, 2011 or something like that?
Yes.
So okay, basic plot points.
2010.
2010. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense because you're just coming out of the early 2000s, which all the tropes kind of fit in the timeline there. So you got your classic group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like
it's like
10-ish.
Yeah.
10-ish.
Yeah.
Like college students going out to the forest to, you know, have some beer, some brewskis.
Yep.
Just do some skinny dipping, enjoy camping, all that jazz. And then at the same time, you have Tucker and Dale who are going out to their vacation home, which is like an old, like, decrepit cabin by the lake that happens to be, I'm assuming, like less than 100 yards from where these teenagers are camping.
Yeah, it's gotta be, because so like
it's gotta be fucking close, because they're just out fishing when they first see each other, and then they can like hike through the woods for seemingly like 10 minutes and find their cabin.
Yeah, I'm assuming maybe there's like a lake. Well, there's like that lake where maybe they're on one side and the friends are on the other.
I don't, unless the lake is like a small pond-sized thing. It's got to be.
So
their campsite has to be fucking close, within like, a mile at least.
Yeah, but like, what is that? Like, in between a pond and a lake?
So between a pond and a lake, so
something like
I used like
a creek, maybe.
So no, a creek would be like, a creek is like a body of water that's like a foot wide.
I don't know.
A foot to like 3 feet wide, and it's like it's not. It doesn't get deeper than like an inch. A crick for those country folk at home.
Ah, yes.
I would say a pond is like. How would you define a pond? Would it be like
something that's like?
So I would say a pond is about 12 feet deep at most, at absolute most. And like
pond,
no more than 30 yards wide.
Small body of still water formed naturally or by a hollowing or embanking a garden pond.
Maybe ponds are like shallow, like less than 6 feet.
It could be. It's a lake type. What defines a pond? In an area or less than 20 feet. So less than 20 feet, yeah.
Okay, so it's less than 20 feet deep.
So it could be like.
Does it have anything like about the circumference of the pond?
Less than 0.5 acres, so.
Less than half an acre.
Yeah.
So okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like your average like suburbanite property is about the size of a pond. So. Because usually, you know, if you're in suburbs, you're going to have about either a quarter to half an acre.
Yeah, so maybe something a little bit bigger than a pond, but like there's like it appears that there's this body of water where there.
No, it's definitely a lake. Because if we're talking half an acre, then it wouldn't like you'd be able to like wade over to the other side.
Okay, so there's this small lake.
Yeah, definitely, it's a small lake. But the two hillbillies with their
plot.
Back to the plot, with their decrepit cabin and the teenagers, they're very close to each other. The teenagers go skinny dipping, fucking hillbillies go fishing. The hillbillies fucking find, I guess, the teenagers skinny dipping. One of them falls off a rock, hits their head. They're like, oh no, oh fuck, we gotta save her.
Yeah,
because. She's gonna die and drown in the lake.
So Dale fishes her out of the water, and then Tucker yells to the.
And a very, very, very important plot point is before they go skinny dipping, there's a spooky story told about the two killer hillbillies who killed everybody but one guy's mom, and his mom got out and lived to tell a story. But that's very important because it comes up later.
Yep, and that kid's name is Chad.
Fucking Chad, man. It's always Chad, isn't it?
Either way, we'll get back to that. But
so
they save Allison. And
Allison's the one who fell and hit her head.
And then all the other teenagers are absolutely terrified of Tucker and Dale. So when they see them fish her out of the body of water, there's this great joke where they pull her out and Tucker just yells, "Hey, we got your friend!" And all of them
are terrified. They scream, they run away.
Yeah, they're like, "They got Allison!"
Fuck all of those people, by the way, because if I fall and hit my head on a rock, one, where the fuck were my friends when I fell and hit my head? They should be the ones fishing me out. And two, if somebody fishes me out and says, hey, we got your friend, at the very least call the cops.
Yeah.
Don't just fucking run away.
Well, remember, then Chad, every time they mention like calling the cops, he's like, no, we can't do that. We can handle this ourselves.
The cops aren't going to do anything good for you. Which, if they would have just called the cops to begin with, everything would have been okay.
Honestly.
But Chad, okay.
Chad just, yeah.
Chad's a dick. Fuck Chad.
I feel like 90% of movies can like be resolved by just like a simple conflict resolution or like,
just be like, hey,
conversation, you know?
We got your friend. Why the fuck do you have our friend? She fell off a rock and hit her head. Oh shit, sense. Is she okay? Probably not, but we're gonna go take her back to our cabin and make sure she is. Okay, we'll join you.
Yeah.
Boom. Conflict resolved.
Yeah. Or I'm trying to think of another one because I know they exist out there. The ones that I'm thinking of in my head.
There's another one. There's all kinds of movies like that.
Yeah, they just conveniently pop out of our head whenever we try and talk.
I feel like they're also serial killer movies too.
Yeah, that is true.
Granted, 99% of horror movies, like if you don't go to the cops,
yeah,
you know, if you go to the cops, it ruins the entire point of the serial killer movie.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, if you want to do a horror movie right, have the protagonist or the victim group go to the cops and have the cops ignore them.
Yeah.
Because that actually does happen. Like, you know, people go to the cops. It may not be like a murder situation, but it could be like thieves. It could be sexual crimes of some sort.
Yeah.
But cops fucking ignore crimes all the time.
Did you ever watch Barbarian?
I can't say I have.
We'll have to do another episode on that because it's a movie, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And like
the one that comes to mind is like the Silence of the Lambs.
You know, I've never actually seen that. So
many movies. We come from like two completely like different movie cultures.
So, Silence of the Lambs. There's a very good reason as to why I've never seen that. So my dear old mom, God rest her soul, she was very big into reading, and she would read anything and everything.
Yeah.
So when she was a kid, she would go to the library and pick out whatever books. And she got to a point where there were no other kid books left for her to read, so they gave her a special pass where she could just pick out anything else. And
nice.
So she read like everything in her library, and there was a contest for whoever like could read the most books in her school. She won by a landslide and then got to throw a pie in her like principal's face or whatever.
Hell yeah.
So also that's like a great incentive, like throwing stuff at your teacher or principal. What an incentive. You know?
Because as a kid, you hate authority of any sort. Like it doesn't matter if it's good authority or if those people actually give a fuck about you.
Yeah.
You just hate authority.
Yeah. I mean, what an incentive. But back to story of dear old Mumsy. She one of the books that she eventually came across was Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
And it scared the shit out of her.
Rightfully so. It's a fucking creepy ass story.
Oh yeah. Well, like I only know, like my only experience with the whole Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, was I came across a clip of a show called Hannibal.
Mm-hmm.
It was on YouTube, and I just was watching it, and I thought, oh, this is fun, because it was a scene about cooking. And so what I didn't realize was it starts with him looking at the list of like recipes, and then he turns to a like list of people with numbers and names and addresses, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. But I'm watching him cook and pair meals with wines. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. I was like, I kind of want to watch the rest of the show. I thought he was a chef or something.
Yeah.
And then I started reading the comments, and I was like, Hannibal, and they're like, yeah, I love this little detail and this and this. And I was like, what are they talking about? And I was like, oh, this is Hannibal Lecter. Oh, he's eating all those people.
Yeah.
It's a good time. But yeah, so that all being said, my mom was very avid that I never watch Silence of the Lambs. So
it's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But throw it onto the list. We'll cross that bridge one of these
Why
days.
not?
It's so yeah.
Now, I think Hannibal Lecter falls into the same multiverse Now, yes, there is a multiverse of like weird psychotic criminals.
Oh yeah.
There's Split, which is like a multi-personality dude.
Yeah.
Who, I don't know if it's one of his I think one of his personalities like is like some sort of like cryptic beast.
Yeah,
have you ever seen that one?
That was the Shyamalan one, right? Where it was that, and then like, what's it, Unbreakable
and Glass.
Yeah, all, and like they tried to do like a crossover, and it kind of didn't work.
It didn't really work. I enjoyed Glass. I thought Glass was a really good movie.
Add it to the list.
Mm-hmm.
But I've not, but I know what you're talking about. Is that the dog?
That is the dog.
It's kind of funny whenever he makes those noises, but
that's sad. That is that always like breaks my soul a little bit. Every time I hear a dog whine, I'm just like, oh, you poor little shit.
Yeah. The thing is with him, it's like the boy who cried wolf, except it's the dog that's just a bitch.
What if he misses you? What if he's like, hey, yo, Noah, I miss you. And you're just like, oh, what a bitch. Fuck you.
He bugs me. Like,
fair enough.
you see this, if we were to crack that door open an inch, he'd be
he'd go straight for the fries.
The like fry,
the singular fry that's just cold now.
Yeah, and then he would try and burrow his Oh, there's still a little crunch on that.
There is. Very good.
Very good. Oh yeah, folks, we had cheeseburgers and fry.
Anywho, back to
Tucker and Dale.
So we're talking about conflict resolution and all that jazz. So they take Allison back to their decrepit lakeside cabin. You know, they like, you know, bandage her head, and they're like, hey, how's it going? You bonked your head. We told your friends that we have you, and they just kind of ran away. So we're going to hope that they come looking for you in the morning. But like, if you want to just hang out and play board games, you know.
Oh yeah.
We can hang out and play board games. So Dale and Allie are hanging out playing board games. And then fucking these teenagers who are convinced that these two guys are serial killers, like, try and sneak up to the house. And Tucker, who's chopping wood out back, fucking chops up some bees, starts getting stung by bees with his chainsaw out. So he runs around the corner with the chainsaw. He's like, oh, fuck, and he runs away. In the same direction as one of these teenagers is running. This teenager somehow manages to fucking stake himself on a branch, which... How do you not see a fucking tree right in front of you?
You know, it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, on occasion, I just run my entire midsection through a good size, like not even, it wasn't a twig. It was a good size.
It was a very massive.
It was at least a fist-sized branch. You know?
There is, what is the word? I love how once that first kid dies, it just starts ramping up.
Oh yeah, well, because then somebody actually died.
Yeah.
Which everybody's very nonchalant about it, I will say.
Yeah.
Like, if that actually happened, if like I was out camping with my homies, I just found one of them staked on a fucking branch, I'd be traumatized, you know?
Yeah. No, but plot has to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Just imagine we're out camping one of these days and we're like, oh my God, Ryan Smith is stabbed into the side of a tree. Or
how the fuck did he manage that?
Yeah. Or I'm trying to think of which of our friends we could impale or have.
Which one of us would be dumb enough to get impaled at our own, like, by our own forces?
Marcos, what are you up to?
Now, to be clear, we're not trying to impale any of our friends.
No, but
we're just calling out which ones we think would be dumb enough to impale themselves. Yeah. Now, any aforementioned names, I love you guys.
We do. We love you guys.
Your names were mentioned before we dedicated the grounds.
Well, so Max...
Now, I will say, I would probably be one of the dumb ones to, like, trip and fall.
Yeah.
And then bash my head on like a fucking wood chipper or something. I don't know.
that was pretty great. He just goes, he bends over to pick up a log, and while he does that, the kid just jumps.
Yeah, he goes to bend over and pick up a log, and one of the kids who's trying to attack him, which I think legally, by the time, like, okay, so let's say hypothetically, your friend gets kidnapped, all right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right then and there, call the fucking cops, all right? Even if you're going to rescue them, call the cops, because then you have at the very least reported the crime.
Yep.
And there's documentation of it. All right?
Precisely.
Legal advice from Caleb Deal, the totally legally acquitted person. I don't know.
Is that going to be a new segment? Just legal advice from Caleb?
Yes, legal advice from Caleb. How to not fucking get everybody killed.
Yeah.
Logical advice from Caleb. Let's say that.
Logical advice from Caleb. Add it to the sections.
Okay, so your friend's gotten kidnapped. You're going to save them. You should call the cops right there. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you see a dude loading shit into a wood chipper, you don't charge straight at the wood chipper.
No,
even if this guy's, it doesn't matter if he's a serial killer or not. That's a fucking wood chipper. Yeah. You know? If he is a serial killer, he's just going to sidestep you and toss you in the fucking wood chipper. If he isn't a serial killer, there's a chance you could just trip and fall and kill yourself in the wood chipper, like happened in the movie.
Yep.
You know?
Have you seen the new Evil Dead Rise?
I have. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I love Ash vs. Evil Dead. It's very good.
I've never seen any of the other ones. So when I went to go see that one, I didn't really know what to expect. Mm-hmm. I just remember seeing the
Ash vs. Evil Dead is another one that's like logic could be applied and you'd be fine. Granted, he's dealing with zombies and demons, so.
Well, in the first one, they just kind of come across the book, right? And then then they just kind of stupidly start reading.
Yeah,
flipping through it, and then.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you find a book with teeth, you're not just gonna let it sit there. You know?
Oh no, I'm gonna read the passages out loud in a blood circle. You know.
Yeah, I think if I ever come across something like that, I'm gonna look at that, read it to myself, and go, "Man, this shit's scary." Close it and say,
"I'm not even gonna fuck if it has teeth." Are you kidding me? I'm gonna call a priest.
Ghostbusters.
I'm gonna call a rabbi.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call whatever the Muslim church leader is. I'm gonna call a pagan fucking witch doctor. I'm gonna call all the religions.
Maybe not the pagan witch doctor. He might try and activate that stuff.
Maybe not. Maybe he'll be like, "Oh shit, this is an ancient demon relic. We're gonna fucking hide that away for 1,000,000 years."
Yeah, until Hollywood runs out of ideas and then we got a prop. But yeah, no, that's. Either way, I still need to watch those other ones, but that wood chipper at the end of Evil Dead Rise did some. That thing meant business.
Oh yeah, it really did.
Wood chippers, kids. Great for if you're trying to exterminate people.
So generically speaking, just be careful around heavy machinery and sharp objects, because the other dude who kills himself at approximately the same time.
Yeah. He's charging at Dale.
He's charging at Dale and Allie, who are digging a hole for an outhouse, as you do at a new vacation home.
Exactly. Well, you don't want to be like Uncle Eddie and have to take the pump and, the shitter was full.
Yeah, no, you don't want to shit in a bucket. Why the fuck the barbarians do that?
Precisely.
Fucking no, you'd shit in a hole outside.
Exactly.
Like a real civil human being.
Exactly.
Anywho, one of the other dudes charges at Dale and Allie with a sharp stick because he's going to do something with that. Mm-hmm. Misses Dale and impales himself on the stick.
I love how he slowly slides down.
Why were both sides of the stick sharpened? Or how did he impale himself on the blunt side of the stick? Granted, I'm trying to rationalize.
Yeah. Well,
a very hokey horror movie, so this is all going to sound stupid as fuck. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, the movie Tucker and Dale, if anybody is listening to this because they're like, "Oh, Tucker and Dale, my favorite intellectual comedy," it's a movie. It's
certainly one of the movies of all time. I can understand why there's a cult following behind it.
It's like,
it was a movie. You know?
It's not something that like I'm like, oh, I need to watch that every day. I think there's very few films that I can like genuinely do that where I'm like, I could probably watch that every day and never get tired of it.
The one we were supposed to do today is one that I could do it every day with.
Scott Pilgrim versus
Scott Pilgrim versus the World we were supposed to do today. But I forgot the DVD at home. And it was like $20 to rent on Amazon, so we're just like, fucking, we'll just do it another day.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't too bad to rent it, but like to buy it, which I'd rather buy it. I know it's gonna be something that I want to rewatch, but soundtrack for that's pretty great.
It is insanely good, and we will save that for the Scott Pilgrim episode.
Yeah.
But
going back to Tucker and Dale,
be careful around sharp objects. If one of your friends gets a little rapey and or killy, tie him to a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chad, who from the start is already a little rapey.
He's
I probably shouldn't be saying rapey. Like it's probably not a good term to be using. A little push. Let's go pushy.
Well, okay. So which one is it? Psychopath or sociopath? Which one is the one where you know what you're doing?
Sociopath is where you know you're doing it. What you're doing is wrong, but you don't give a fuck. Okay. Psychopath is where you don't know what is wrong and you can't tell what is good and bad.
So is he a psychopath because like he like?
I would say he's a sociopath because he knows killing is wrong, but he's justifying it because they're the bad guys.
Fair enough.
Which, granted, if you look at like any sort of historical context, like World War I and II especially, if you dehumanize the person that you're, or the group of people that you're trying to obliterate or like have as the villain, people are much more willing to kill other people. And it's terrifying. It is genuinely fucking terrifying. Like there's a whole bunch of propaganda going around during I can't remember if it was World War I or II, but about the rape of Belgium, and like, you know, how the evil demon Germans came across the border, and you know they raped and pillaged and killed everybody. Which granted there was a little bit of that, but it wasn't to the point where it was, you know, all good, all like evil and all that. Granted, Germans got much worse later in the world. Or I'm not justifying anything that the Germans did, but I'm just saying the propaganda amped it up a little bit more.
No, it's like you know, that was their opening act, you know.
Yeah. I don't like thinking about the Holocaust as a grand theater show.
No, but that was their crescendo, you know.
Yeah. That was their hook. The rape of Belgium, the hook to the Holocaust.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, Jesus Christ. Anywho, on back to Chippendale. Chippendale, what the fuck? Where'd that come from?
So Tucker and Dale, they earlier, one of the teenagers is sent to go get the police.
Oh yeah, one of them does go to get the cops.
And so he comes back with this old police officer that pulled Tucker and Dale over in the beginning and told them that they have this turn signal that doesn't work, which I love when they're in the truck and they're drinking. It just says beer on the can.
Yeah. So their beer can, it's very clearly like a Miller Lite it's like can, but it just says beer in the Miller font.
It's beautiful. So he comes back and the police officer finds I think it's like 4 kids remaining because it's the black guy, the black chick.
So you have the 2 tokens. You have the token woman and the token man.
Yep.
You have the dumb blonde.
Yep.
You have the
guy who went to go get the police.
Sociopathic jock, and then you have the rational dude.
Yeah.
Who goes to get the cops.
So there's 4 of them left, and
so there's 5 of them plus the cop.
5 of them. Yep, 5 of them plus the cop, and so the sociopathic jock, frickin' Chad, he sees them go to the cop, and
he's like, fucking idiots.
Yeah. It's like the most rational thing that's been done the entire film.
Yeah.
They go to the cabin and police gets there. They look at Tucker and Dale, which is one of my favorite lines that I quote every so often. And they look at him and he says, "You want to explain what's going on?" And they say, "Well, officer, it's been a doozy of a day."
It's been a doozy of a day. Granted, at this point, they have 2 dead college students on their property, and they have since pulled the legs of the dude who jumped in the wood chipper out of the wood chipper, which also, if you're ever participating or witness to an active crime scene, don't fuck with the crime scene unless it's to save somebody's life. If they're dead, leave them there. Because then you're tampering with evidence and you're fucking incriminating yourself.
Pretty much, yeah. More, what was it, logical information from Caleb Deal?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know, I really wish we had the budget where we could have somebody like do like a little do. Yeah. Just a little public service announcement from Caleb Deal.
Don't fuck with the crime scene. Just leave it be. Unless somebody's actively dying and you need to like stop the bleeding or like
don't
just don't fuck with it.
But yeah, so they fuck with it, and then
they actively fuck with it. They incriminate themselves. They're dragging a body along the ground when the cops show up.
But the police officer humors them, and they say, "Well, we got another one trapped in our house, and I done knocked her on the head." And he goes in, he sees Allison on the bed, and he finds out she's alive.
Yeah, he dilates her pupils, make sure she's conscious and not brain dead.
And there is this little like what is it, pillar in the house?
Yeah, like so there's a pillar in the house that is loose, and whenever you knock it, a beam falls down
with nails on it.
With nails on it, of course.
So naturally, Mr. Ossifer leans on it, and out pops this little beam, and it smacks him straight in the head with the
nails. It goes through his head.
He runs out to the car with all the other kids, and I want to say Dale asks, "You think? Oh, he'll be all right. He'll walk
it off. Yeah, he'll be fine." Which, fun fact: when there's a massive head wound, they're probably not going to walk it off.
Yeah.
And a pro tip for those at home: okay, logic from Caleb. If you have spine or a head injury, you shouldn't be moving.
Yep.
Don't move until you're told to otherwise by a medical professional, or you're in a spot where you can't get help and you need to find help.
See, so
move as a last resort.
See, this is why we have Caleb on the podcast, because he knows things and he's very like articulate and very informative. I'm just here because I have microphones.
Perhaps.
but yeah,
your opinion is important too.
Oh, stop. You're making me blush.
He.
So then one of the kids goes for the officer's gun, and he aims at Tucker and Dale, except he pulls the trigger and nothing happens because the safety's on.
Right.
And
then Dale's like, "Oh, the safety's on the side of it. You got to hit that if you want to shoot." Just trying to be a helpful guy, because they haven't actually hurt anybody at this point.
Yeah.
They're just probably in shock, theoretically.
Yeah.
From, 2 people having killed themselves right in front of him, which is terrifying.
Just a little bit.
We should put a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode between like rape, Holocaust, and, suicide.
Yeah.
So, sorry if you're currently having a panic attack.
Yeah.
Shouldn't listen to this episode.
As much as this one blows up.
Yeah. But so the guy turns off the safety, fires a couple of shots at Tucker and Dale, because that was clearly his intention, because he was pointing the gun at the 2 dudes.
Yep. So wait,
no. He shoots himself.
Yep. He shoots himself. Chad fires off at Tucker and Dale, and then they get the nail gun.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I want to also touch on the guy that originally had the revolver. So one,
that was the kid who went
if you pick up a gun, logic with Caleb. So there's 3 rules of gun safety. It's 1, treat every gun like it's loaded.
Mm-hmm.
2, never point the gun at something you're willing to destroy. 3, have fun. I can't remember. There's more to it, but I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But so don't look down the end of a barrel because, unless you want to destroy your face, which even then, talk to somebody first, please.
Yeah. There's numbers, or even
I think it's 988 for the mental health helpline.
I mean, even if not that, you could call a friend, call your family. If your family sucks, then you can call your friend. If you don't have any friends, you can reach out to
call 911. They'll help.
Yeah. I was going to say maybe reach out to the podcast, but no, we don't have the budget to set up a lifeline.
We are not qualified mental health professionals. Now, if you do have a problem and you do feel comfortable talking to us for some fucking reason, I'm honored, first off. Second off, we will provide resources for you to get the help that you need.
Yeah.
Shit sucks.
Yeah. Shit does suck. That's so quick little rabbit hole. I've always liked this perspective on life, that life is terrible.
Oh yeah, no, life is fucking awful.
Oh, it is. And I've said that, and a lot of people get on to me and they're like, "Oh, you're just being negative right now." And I'm like, "No, life is terrible. There's starving people. People are dying."
So,
but it's what you do with the terrible,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I feel like I shouldn't go off on this tangent.
No, go ahead.
I'm not going to go on this tangent because I'm gonna be put on a list if I go on this tangent. Okay, it's not bad. I'm not saying round people up and put them in a camp. But this sounds really bad. Okay. I've started this off wrong. Okay. But the primary reason that life sucks currently, and there's starving people in the world, and there's wars going on all over the world. Mm-hmm. There's everybody's stuck in a job that they hate. All that type of stuff everything's driven by profit. Nobody gives a fuck about the fellow human being, or at least nobody who can do anything about it gives a fuck about each other. And the primary drive for anybody who is any sort of seat of power is to get more power or get more money.
Yeah.
Now there are a select few people. Don't get me wrong. There are a select few people who are going to look out for the greater good and help out their fellow man, but 90% of the people are just gonna do whatever can get them more power, get them more money, or get them and their friends more money, which very depressing, very sad. There's all kinds of documentation and stuff on this. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to research it because frankly I'm not qualified.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. But yeah, that's my hot take on why everything sucks currently, is because everything's driven by profit instead of helping out each other.
Sounds like a great spot for an ad.
Oh yeah.
Great shot. No. So, but yeah, no, you're 100% right. One of the things that a lot of people, I've heard this a lot growing up in church, was that money is the root of all evil, but it never says money. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And that was always a very distinct distinction that a lot of people don't make, and it's 100% true. It's the love of, because then it's obsession, it's power. It's
when it gets to a point where you're hoarding wealth instead of using it to better your life, it becomes a problem.
Yeah. And so Scrooge McDuck, and trying to think of another bad example.
Elon Musk, the Gates.
Yeah. Disney.
Bastard
mouse.
Basically any mega corporate, anybody who has more than $1 billion, you know? I feel like if you have a few million, that's great. You're doing good for yourself. You probably got a business or something going on.
Yeah.
Or your dad had some money.
Yeah.
And you're just living off of that. Good for you.
Yeah.
You're living off of somebody's hard work or your hard work. And you're making the most of it. Good for you.
Yeah. I actually watched the show recently. This is kind of a segment that I wanted to start doing, so it's kind of thrown in here, and then we'll talk about the rest of Tucker and Dale here in a second, but I wanted to start doing the section where it's things that we're watching or reading or listening to. So whether it's like new music, a new show.
We should do that at the beginning of the podcast. Like as we're doing introductions, like, oh yeah, recently I've been thinking about how capitalism sucks.
Yeah. But like, so I recently watched this show called Silicon Valley. An old coworker of mine, Brooks, told me about it. And I just remember he said it was on HBO. I didn't have HBO until recently, and finally sat down and watched it. And it's like 6 seasons. I watched it in like 2 weeks. Now, did I have time to sit down and watch it? No. A lot of times I had it on in like the background, but I was paying enough attention to the plot where like I wanted to keep hearing more about it. And like it was all about this company where they came up with a compression system so that they could basically just compress things. And then the knockoff Google Hooli, they find that they have a sample of this compression system, so they like kind of reverse engineer it. So the first couple of seasons is a race to whoever can create this compression system and make it like an app or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the last couple of seasons is them trying to build a new internet, and so it's quite interesting to watch because when it starts off, the main character Richard, he is what is the word? His whole thing is to just try and help people or try and like make just a compression system. And initially it was for music, but he learned that he could do it with video and everything. But then he starts playing dirty throughout the series, and he plays a little bit more dirty, and he stops caring whether he ruins somebody's life. And it just kind of this slow, not digression, but like he progresses, but also
he slowly turns into a sociopath.
A little bit.
Like Chad.
Yeah. It's a great segue back to Tucker and Dale. So where were we?
So Chad picks up the gun, right? He fires off some shots at Tucker and Dale. I hope you're following along at home because we're jumping all over the fucking place. Yeah. So Tucker and Dale hop inside. They're like, "Oh fuck, these guys are shooting at us. We got to do something about it." Hey, you got that nail gun? I'm like, yeah. So they hook up the nail gun in this cool like little mechanic. I don't know, sequence.
Yeah.
Contemplation. I don't know. And then so they fire some shots back with the nail gun. They're shooting at each other. And then Chad grabs Dale's fucking dog. Fuck you, Chad. That's a dick move.
What's his name?
I have no idea.
Flagger, something like that. Jaeger.
Let's call it Jaeger. Yeah. I don't know, that feels like a good name for a dog.
It's something like that. Baker? I don't know.
Baker. I think it's Baker.
I'll look
Bagel?
it up.
I don't know.
Aw, little Bagel.
Bagel's a fucking adorable name for a dog.
We should call the corgi Bagel.
Yes.
Ein Bagel. I don't know. But so he threatens the dog, and then shoot. What happens?
So he threatens to shoot the dog.
They go out. But Allison, she wakes up at that point.
No, she doesn't, because they free the dog first.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, where, Tucker crawls around the back and frees the dog.
That's where he loses his fingers, right?
Yep, that's where he runs away, trips over a log, gets captured by Chad, the sociopath. Sorry. They tie him up upside down.
Jangers.
Yep. Jangers. That sounds like a hillbilly thing to name a dog. So Tucker's hanging upside down by his toes. They're like, "We're gonna get payback for what you did to our friends." He's like, "I didn't do anything to your friends." They're like, "Bullshit." Chops off 2 fingers. And then we come to find out that they lay a trap for him, but that doesn't happen at this point. So Allison wakes up, talks to Dale. Dale's like, some shit's gone wild. They're trying to kill my friend. Your friends killed themselves in front of me. Mm-hmm. Don't go outside, because at this point there's a dead cop.
Yep.
There's the dude who shot himself. There's a dude who impaled himself on a stick, and there's the dude who got who there's a dude's like lower torso and legs, after being shot by a
the special effects on this movie, like,
they're pretty good. Like, this wasn't a low budget movie.
I was gonna say, like, the bit where somebody gets impaled through the neck looks kind of dumb, but like the bit where you just see like this half a torso, I'm like,
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But so they're like, oh fuck, oh no, everybody's dead.
Yeah.
Allison goes outside, sees that everybody's dead. She's like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
The college students at this point, there's only 4 left. There's the token man, the token woman, the dumb blonde, and the sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
So
they we just watched it. They rescue Tucker, and then
so there's a funny little bit where Dale trips over the trap that they set.
Yeah.
And almost gets his balls impaled by a stick. There's a lot of sticks in granted, I guess they're in the woods, so it makes sense that there's a lot of sticks, but you would think there'd be like, I don't know, more weapons than sticks.
Yeah, axes. At the beginning, he holds like a scythe.
Yeah. Surprisingly enough, the scythe didn't actually come into play at all. But
a lot of sticks.
He almost gets his balls impaled. He's like, damn, I'm glad I'm not hung like a bear here. And then because very narrowly misses balls. Betwixt the legs, he got impaled.
Yep. And then they make their way back to the cabin, and Tucker and Dale and Allison and the psychopath, where they agree to sit down over a cup of tea and talk. So Allison mentioned that she was going to school to be a psychology major, and she was basically just saying, hey, let's have a little therapy, a little rap session. Let's just
sit down and communicate with each other. And granted, this would have been helpful at the beginning when they first captured Allison. I say captured, rescued.
Mm-hmm. Which, like, it's funny to see it kind of in practice, because for the first part, it kind of does work. Mm-hmm. And then the Tolkiens and the dumb blonde make their way into the cabin with a weed whacker. The dumb blonde gets half of her face like chopped off.
The token woman gets her.
Oh, it's the token woman.
Yeah.
And then that's right, because then they try, then after the token woman gets half of her face like torn off, the jock guy, Chad, he flips the table and lights the cabin on fire, and then they try and put out the black guy catches on fire. Mm-hmm. And then I want to say it's the pickle juice from
the dumb blonde picks up what I'm assuming was moonshine,
or it could have been moonshine,
and tries to put her out, or put the guy out, the guy's fire out.
So here's the real question. Was that her man, the token gentleman, or were the two tokens an item?
I have no idea. That is a question for another time. But there's no real like relationships that supposedly brew, except for the really pushy, handsy one between Chad and Allie.
Yeah.
Chad being the sociopath, Allie being the psychology student who got rescued by Tucker and Dale. The first 3 dudes who die, I don't even remember. Well, the first 4 dudes who die, really.
Yeah.
I don't remember what any of them looked like. There's the dude who had like a mechanic shirt on. He's the one who was running away and impaled himself.
Yep.
There's the dude who jumped into the wood chipper. No idea what he looked like.
I think he was blonde. I know the guy who went to go get the police was wearing like a white shirt, and he was blonde.
How did he die?
He shot himself.
He was the dude who shot himself.
And then there was the other kid who impaled himself, which...
The other guy who impaled himself. I think he had a ponytail. I'm not sure, though.
That sounds right. I know the Tolkien guy. He has like dreads.
Yeah, he has dreads.
Tragic.
But
yeah, so
dreads are cool.
Dreads are cool. Just him dying was tragic.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so he burns to death from being already on fire, which he was only like his pant leg was on fire.
Yeah, and they even make a joke where they're like, "Oh, you could just stop, drop, and roll."
Yeah, you just stop, drop, and roll. It'll be fine. And then the woman
throws the moonshine.
On the guy's leg. So naturally he bursts into flames. So he's dead.
So he's extra crispy.
And
then they all make their way out of the cabin.
No, because the girl who got her face chopped up by the wood chip by the weed eater, she's like, "Help me, please," to Dale, and he's like, "You're useless," and he like kicks her aside.
No, it wasn't Dale. It was
not Dale. Chad. Yeah, he's like, "You're useless," and kicks her aside and runs outside. How'd the blonde die in that whole situation?
So she blows up in the cabin, but after throughout the whole film, she's trying to light a cigarette.
That's right.
And she uses the flames of the cabin to take a final what is that? Final drag.
Tunnel puff.
Yeah, and then she blows up, and then they make their way to the truck. The pickup, Tucker, Dale, and Allison. And Dale, as they're driving away,
is looking backwards as he's driving forwards.
So
again, okay. Pro tip: if you're driving, especially away from a serial killer or any sort of a point of danger, look where you're driving. Don't look behind you. Don't taunt people. Look where you're driving so you don't run into a fucking tree like these two idiots did.
We gotta make that a thing.
Okay. We gotta get an actual jingle so I don't destroy my voice doing a little. Yeah,
I could do the little.
Sweet. We have a piano right there. You could just do a little thing.
We'll figure that out later.
Cool. We're gonna add sound effects.
Oh, we are?
Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe. But so from there, a couple.
Yeah. So they're all knocked unconscious theoretically by the impact.
Blunt force trauma.
Because I'm assuming they're speeding away along a forested road.
Yeah.
Run into a tree. So Dale wakes up last. I'm assuming Allie and
Chad.
Tucker both woke up at about the same time.
Yep.
Chad comes in, takes Allie. Tucker says he tried to stop her. I think he's his stomach is chopped.
Yeah,
or something he's taken some sort of torso damage, unknown as to what. It's never really mentioned. Just kind of looks like it.
Oh, we should also mention that when the house catches on fire, Chad becomes crispy.
Oh yeah. He gets partially burnt.
He's looking like Two-Face over here.
He really is.
And so Chad takes Allie. Tucker and Dale have a nice heart-to-heart moment.
They're like, "Buddy, you got this." Yeah, buddy, I sure do. You're gonna be all right. Yeah, I'll be all right. Go get her.
And so then Dale goes to get Allie.
Yeah. And I feel like we failed to mention during this whole thing there's a little romance brewing between Dale and Allie. So he rescued her. They play board games. They dig a hole together.
Really cute.
It is genuinely a really adorable little thing that happens. But I feel like that's important for what happens next because they get stuck into, I want to say a love line, because it's not a triangle.
Yeah, it's not a triangle, but it's
because generically in a triangle, everybody feels the same way about each other,
Yeah, like a Cyclops, Wolverine, Jean Grey. That's
yeah. So if it was a triangle, Allie would like both Chad and Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Dale and Chad would mutually hate each other.
Yep.
So that's how love triangles work usually. But in this situation, Allie has zero interest in Chad. Chad is obsessed with Allie because they'd be perfect for each other.
It kind of reminds me of I'm trying to think of how to say this. But he mentions how they're just better than everyone else.
Yeah. So he mentions that Allie thinks she's better than everybody else, which I don't think that energy is ever put across. He just puts that image upon her.
It's
he's So you're better than everybody else, but that's okay because we're both better than everybody else. So let's make out.
Going back to our talk about the Nazis.
Wait. Hey, yo, hold up. Whoa. Wait. Remember, this is a distinguished conversation, not that other podcast.
Oh, yeah. My apologies. We'll talk about that on Max's podcast. Yeah. Go check it out. Traditional Thinking. There's a new episode out.
It's for all the quote-unquote controversial / hot takes.
It's called You're My Daddy. It's great. I had to bleep out a couple things, but yeah, it's a great podcast. Either way, honestly, it kind of reminds me of Max's whole being a superior being. Just a little bit. Except Max isn't a psycho killer.
Yeah. Hopefully not, at least.
Hopefully not.
He isn't showing signs of it.
I don't know.
So far.
I got an idea. Why don't we all go camping?
I'm going to stick to my house. Thank you very much. So okay, back to the story. So Dale takes Allie to a conveniently placed wood mill, sawmill.
Not Dale, Chad.
Chad, sorry, I keep getting the names mixed up.
And then Dale finds his way to the sawmill.
Yep, and naturally, as they do in a sawmill, there's a cabinet full of aprons, chaps, like iron cleats or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I know
chainsaws.
I know those are real
welding masks. I'm assuming like they're actually for like tree climbing, or something like that. But like this like iron like tree cleat, it's like it's like a harness that you put onto your boot, and it has like two sticks or two like iron spikes that go out of it to prongs. To like, I'm assuming stick into a tree or something like that. Yeah. Like when you're climbing up to trim branches or something. I don't know.
Yeah. We're not experts.
Best guess. That's what it is. My expert bullshit opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So finally there's this showdown where, in the most like Dr. Evil thing that Chad could have done, he ties Allie to a log.
And says like, if you don't say that you're sorry and give me a makeup kiss, I'm gonna saw you in half.
So he kisses.
Hey buddy, newsflash, you're the fucking bad guy. You're the bad guy.
So he like kisses her like twice.
He kisses her once, he's like, that wasn't good enough. He kisses her another time, he's like, I need a makeup kiss, otherwise you're gonna get sawed in half. Which okay. So if I don't know who out here needs to hear this. But no means no. Stop means stop. Unless discussed beforehand. Now, there are people who are into that. CNC is a thing. Discuss it with your partner if that's something you want to try out. Make a safe word. Do something. But if this is somebody that you have no prior relationship with, other than a very pushy, like behind the car, give me a kiss, mama type thing, no means no, and stop means stop. Consent is important. Okay? I'm going to say it again. Consent is important. Not just in sexual relations, in anything you do in life, all right? Consent is important. Get consent first, okay? If you're not sure, be like, hey, is it all right if I give you a kiss? Or can I give you a kiss? Don't just be like, give me a kiss, mama. Don't just force it upon them. Or, and on that same note, since she is tied to a log and he's threatening to saw her in half, which props to her that she says, no, fuck you. I'm going to get sawed in half before I give you a kiss. Yeah. You creepy two-faced freak. Yeah. If you have to threaten them to get to get the yes, it's okay to give me a kiss, that's not consent either. Guess what? That's a little thing called rape. Okay? It's not okay. All right?
Yeah.
All right. All right, I think I've drilled that home enough. Consent is important, all right?
It is very important.
So, that whole thing happens. That honestly made me feel nasty to watch. It was disgusting.
Yeah, especially like, I love it how like from the get-go he's just
from the get-go he's weird
sociopath, but like he licks her and it's just
it's very uncomfortable. It makes me feel
a little slimy.
Like physically dirty, like, and not in a good way at all. Like in a physically, like, I'm gonna vomit if this keeps happening.
Type
of way, you know. Like there's times when that thing, like when there's like a kiss in a movie, and it's like, damn, that's kind of cute, or that was fucking hot.
Yeah.
This
is not
disgusting. Because mind you, half his face is burnt off.
Yeah.
She's very clearly not into it.
He looks kind of like
no.
He looks kind of like remember when you went to like a 4th of July cookout and somebody burns the hot dogs? That's what he looks like.
He looks like a burnt hot dog.
Yeah,
he does. He really does.
So
a half burnt hot dog. So Dale barges in at this point. He's like, wait, no. Yeah, he barges in. And Chad at this point is nowhere to be seen.
And he
Chad walks up. He's like, oh, Allie, fucking, I'll untie you real quick.
Dale.
He's like,
Dale walks up.
Dale walks up. He's like, Allie, I'm gonna untie you real quick. He struggles with the knot a little bit, and then, you know, if you weren't sure that he was the bad guy yet, you know he's the bad guy now, because he's like, how cute is this, over the intercom of this decrepit sawmill, which somehow has working electronics and a working intercom.
Maybe everyone just took the weekend off. I don't know.
Maybe. And they just don't dust.
Well, yeah. Actually, that's a good point. They mentioned how it looked like nobody had been there in years.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But okay, so he announced something over the intercom. Dale's like, oh shit, I gotta get you untied real quick. And then
as he's untying her, they fight a bit.
Yeah, Chad fucking smacks him across the way. There's some axe and chainsaw and metal pipe-esque combat, which also, I don't think it's addressed very well in movies, but a chainsaw is a fucking awful weapon.
Yeah,
I will say that much. It's big, it's heavy, it's loud. Intimidation factor is there.
Yeah,
but I mean, one, it can't like go through a log in one fell swoop. You know, it takes some time to get through a log with a chainsaw.
No, it does. But they're very fun.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're going for pain and fear, which I guess is something you want to do as a serial killer, you want a chainsaw.
Yeah.
But if you want to actually have a sufficient weapon to defend yourself with, don't get a chainsaw. Get like an axe.
So
frankly, a stick, a solid like baseball bat would be better.
Yeah.
You know.
Going back to Evil Dead Rise, I love how the little girl just has the little stick with the spear tip.
Yeah.
And with the doll, was it like a doll head or something?
I think so. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I frankly don't remember.
But I've always wondered that. Why does nobody in horror movies just carry a big stick? Like, just something like...
Granted, we did talk earlier about how sharp sticks are a bad weapon, but
that's
if
when they're
your choices are a large stick or a chainsaw, take the large stick.
Preferably something with a little bit of distance on you.
Yeah,
a big stick.
So, you have more maneuverability with a stick.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if it's stick versus chainsaw, take the chainsaw. Yeah. But if it is, you don't know what your opponent has, so you have either a chainsaw or a stick, take the stick.
Well, I'm not going to say that the stick is better than the chainsaw.
The stick being like a baseball bat, like a wooden baseball bat is what I'm thinking about, you know?
Okay,
or that type of sized object, like a large club.
So I'm kind of thinking like a bow staff, but yeah.
A bow staff would also be good.
I feel like bow staffs are pretty cool. Not underrated, but like, you know,
they're very cool.
So they fight a bit.
Dale does a sick axe throw where he chops off the ropes just before Allie goes in the saw blade.
Yep.
Dale and Allie run up the stairs, fucking find a newspaper, and there's a big old plot twist. Just in case you want to watch the movie, I'm going to say the plot twist.
Spoiler. Do. I think you're safe to say it now.
Okay, cool. So if the do means I'm going to drop some logic. I'm just going to drop a spoiler here.
Do.
They find a newspaper with like the story that we previously mentioned, where Chad's parents were murdered in the forest like 20 years ago.
Yep.
20 some odd years ago. The newspaper says that the serial killer was caught, and the one survivor was institutionalized because Chad said his mother was institutionalized, and his dad's body was never found. And the picture looks exactly like Chad. I mean, it's very clear that they just took the actor who played Chad, put him in a hillbilly suit, and like said that that was the previous.
As a lot of those movies did in that time.
Yeah, this was 2010. I'm not gonna act like this was like an early 80s. If this was early 80s, that'd be excusable. But at this point, it's whatever.
I mean, but even in like the early 2000s and like till the 2010s, another film that I saw from around that time period was Sex Drive. Have you ever seen that?
Can't say I have.
So the plot of that one is this guy, he meets a girl online, and he takes his brother's like Camaro, and he goes to meet her, and all for the chance of getting laid. So then,
as you do,
trying to remember any of the actors' names from it. I just know Clark Duke, the guy from Hot Tub Time Machine. And,
oh yeah, okay.
He was Dwight Jr. in the last season of The Office.
Okay.
He's in it, and he kind of plays the same character in all of whatever it is that he plays, where he's like this really easygoing, but like he has no trouble with the ladies, just is like that friend.
Yeah.
And so they make their way. There's this great joke where they make their way, and the car breaks down in this like Amish town, and Seth Green, who plays an Amish guy, he's like, yeah, maybe we could help you. And they're like, oh, I don't think there's anything you can do to help. And he's like, well, that there looks like a 1967 Camaro with the, like, he knows the exact model. And they're like, you know what this is? And they're like, yeah, we know what cars are. And it's like, but I mean, since you don't want our help. And they're like, no, we'll take your help. And they're like, well, okay, we'll take a look at it. So they work on the car, and they're like, if you want, there's a little shindig going on for the kids right next door in the barn. And in the barn is Fall Out Boy playing.
Nice.
And so like all the Amish kids are getting lit and just listening to Fall Out Boy. And
hell yeah.
Either way, another dumb movie for another time, but yeah.
Indeed. So
they find out that
the big bad serial killer from 20 years ago was Chad's dad. It's what's alluded to. It's never like, oh yeah, this is
never confirmed, but it is.
But it's heavily alluded to. So they tell Chad this. He's like, no, it's all a lie. Life is a lie. Everything's a lie. And while they were having tea earlier in the cabin, he says that he's allergic to caramel tea.
Yep, because there is something in it. And throughout the film, I will say this film does a great job of like foreshadowing or like a lot of callbacks.
Oh, yeah, a lot of callbacks, like, a lot of tie-ins.
When they crash the truck, the turn
blinker
signal
that they got stopped for in the beginning of the movie is on.
Not working.
Yeah.
And like Dale mentioned while he's playing a game with Allie that he just remembers everything
he's very good at remembering everything he's ever heard. But they have a whole conversation about education versus intellect, which is genuinely a different thing. So like if you can be smart without being educated.
Yeah. Actually, that would be a good topic for one of these days. Just bring in some really educated versus really intellectual people and just let them fight, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, Mortal Kombat style.
Round one.
Fight. But yeah, so another one is the cigarette. The girl's always trying to smoke the cigarette.
Yeah.
And then Chad is always like puffing into this inhaler.
Yeah.
Like at one point before he's telling the scary story, he takes a puff of like the joint. And
then like he immediately before he exhales the joint takes a puff of his inhaler. Like he's mixing it like it's like he's like mixing two drugs or something like that.
Yeah, but it's so stupid, but they do such a great job of having those like reoccurring jokes and foreshadowing. So then there was some tea that they found in the office right before they found the newspaper
which just
article.
Happens to be the type of tea that he's allergic to.
Yeah.
Very convenient.
Naturally. And so he throws that into his face, and it's funny because Dale, like, he's like, oh, he won't die.
He won't die as long as he's getting his inhaler. And then he backs out the window and falls to his death about 3 stories.
It's beautiful film kind of wraps up with Tucker's now in the hospital, and they put fingers back on him. Not his fingers, but fingers.
One of them is his. The other one is just a female finger.
Yeah. And then
feminine finger, I should say.
Yep. And then let's see. Then Dale brought Tucker a beer, and then Dale goes bowling with Allie, and
they all live happily ever after.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Dale tells his hillbilly friend to go follow his dreams.
Go follow his dreams, and his hillbilly friend proceeds to, without consent, knock a woman unconscious and drag her over to his truck, which I think is... I don't know what the point of putting that in was, but...
Maybe his hillbilly friend is like a serial killer.
Maybe off screen he talked to the woman, and the woman was really into that, and he got consent. That's my headcanon.
They're
okay?
feisty like that.
She's a freak. Good for her.
What is it? Josh Campy educated us on this.
Oh yeah, fetishes versus kinks. I think a fetish is something that you enjoy, but you can't get off. You can get off without it, and a kink is something you can't get off without, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly which one was which.
Yeah, maybe it is. Well, I thought the fetish is the one that you can't live without.
Well, I mean, you can live without it. You just can't get. You can't reach your threshold without it.
The threshold. But yeah, so maybe it is the kink. Either way, they all live happily ever after. Allegedly. So yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. Highly recommend it to anybody who has an hour and a half and just want kind of a dumb, fun movie to watch. It's got a little bit of everything in there. Like, I wouldn't say this is a top tier film, but it's something that I wouldn't have a problem throwing on any time of day.
Oh yeah, it's definitely something. It's very easy to watch. I will say that much. It's not like you sit down and you're like, "What the fuck's going on?" It's very clearly like a horror film of some sort, and you can kind of pick up the plot as you go along because they're very good about reiterating the points of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
all around.
So yeah, that's Tucker and Dale versus Evil, and that's a distinguished conversation talking about it. I feel like this was way more fun than Star Wars. yeah,
because with Star Wars, there was so much to talk about.
That's true.
So much. I couldn't go on a couple of tangents about consent and socialism. So
honestly, I wouldn't mind doing another movie next week.
Yeah, I'd be down. Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah,
I already Scott Pilgrim so bad. That is my favorite movie of all time.
I'm really excited.
It's a very special place in my heart.
I've heard the soundtrack. I've seen snippets of it.
The really cool thing about that movie, which I'll let you know about beforehand, is all the actors that are in the band actually sang the songs for the soundtrack. So their band is called Sex Bomb, and it's all the actors from the movie that made and produced and were in the music. They didn't write the music. Beck wrote the music, but they performed it.
But they didn't they all learn to play instruments? Or?
Yep. There's some funny clips of them learning how to play music. It's kind of fun to watch.
We'll have to talk about that next week a little bit more.
A little teaser.
But yeah, good times. Is there anything else we want to talk about this week?
I think
the screen went black.
The screen has gone black, so we're at the very least over an hour.
Yeah, it went black maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. So.
Alrighty, so that means our time is up.
Yeah. But it's a fun watch. I feel like we should come up with a rating system for movies.
Yeah, let's call it like, let's do 1 out of 10 until we find a better metric.
Yeah,
or a better metric comes along.
I'd say an 8.
Yeah, I'd say a solid like 7.5, just because I'm not really a big fan of like the hokey horror movies. I'm not really a big fan of horror movies in general, but yeah.
I enjoy horror, but like I think it's just the nostalgia of like remember hearing about this movie and like really like wanting to watch it, but just never getting around to it.
That's fair.
And then the experience of eating a bucket of KFC with my pal Dayton and watching it, but it's a fun time.
It's definitely a movie that I could sit down and watch without a problem. I never was just like, this is awful. We need to turn this off. Yeah. Which there have been a couple of movies where I'm just like, I don't really want to watch this anymore.
I heard the film Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey I got a coworker who said that's one of the few movies that he's ever just needed to turn off. Which I do want to talk about one of these days. I've yet to see it.
What is up with you and putting us through these like weird abstract like torture movies? Like not like the movies about torture, just torturing ourselves by watching movies and playing bad games.
I don't know. Views.
Fair enough.
No, we don't do it for the views. We do it for the viewers.
Exactly. We're in pain, so you don't have to be.
Yeah, pretty much. But you know, it is like there is some fun to like playing bad stuff and watching bad movies.
Oh yeah.
Like I will say, I played Lego Indiana Jones, and then I played Indiana Jones: The Staff of King, both for the PS2. One of those games is significantly better than the other. Spoiler alert, it's the Lego game. But yeah, like there, I don't know. One game that I do want to do when it comes out is Spider-Man for the PS5. Once that comes out, I would love to maybe do like a couple episodes where we do a playthrough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the second that gets to my door, I'm ripping that open and just like
hell yeah.
I've pre-ordered very few games, but that's one of them. And like don't
get your hopes up too high. I pre-ordered Cyberpunk, and I got very very much disappointed.
Well, I pre-ordered the first Spider-Man, and that one was really good. So I know to be weary, but Insomniac puts time and effort into their stuff.
Hell yeah. Alrighty. So
yeah.
With that, I think we had a very distinguished conversation today. What did you think?
I think it was very distinguished. I was really looking for Scott Pilgrim, so I was a little disappointed that we didn't get to do that. No.
I'll bring it next time.
But I'm glad that we got to talk about Tucker and Dale. This was a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, it was.
I wasn't anticipating watching that today, but I'm glad we did. So yeah, tune in next week, folks, to hear us talk about
Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Woo!
And maybe we'll see if Mr. Elijah Myers wants to come over early and watch it with us, because
hell yeah,
that's the plan. Is he's also supposed to be a guest for us next week.
Yeah, so tune in next week. We're gonna have Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and we're gonna have Eli on the podcast.
Hopefully. I don't know, but the way that people cancel on us, like Marcos and occasionally you and.
Hey, everybody has lives.
No, I know.
It is unfortunate that we have lives to live.
We just have to call everybody out, and
I know, right?
And Marcos requested that we give you shit because
which is fair
to make it last week.
Which is fair.
So yeah, but we will see y'all next week. Go follow us on Instagram, on the YouTubes, comments, and let us know what you want to hear us talk about.
Like, comment, subscribe. Just send us some feedback if you have any feedback, and we'll
smash that like button.
Yeah, smash all the like button, all that jazz, shameless plugs and all that. But yeah, alrighty, you have yourself a wonderful time, whichever time that may be. And yeah, have a good day. Bye.
I think. All right, maybe that's off.
Stop.
We'll see.
Are we rolling?
I don't know. I should probably have brought the keyboard.
Oh yeah, the keyboard would help to put in your password.
Oh.
Bye.